Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Melissa, and I'm the Senior Marketing Specialist at Tornatech. We're glad to have you here today. I would like to introduce to you our presenters, Martin Tomasic, the Director of Sales, and Cole Rigney, the U.S. Regional Sales Manager. Please leave your questions in the Q&A tab, not in the chat. After the presentation is over, we'll be back to answer as many questions as we can. Now, let's get started. Enjoy the presentation.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Let's take time to watch this short video.
All right, now let's get started with the presentation. So as you can see, we're going to be presenting on our flow meter. It is called the GT-FluxFP. NFPA 20, we'll start with NFPA 20 since everybody is familiar with NFPA. NFPA actually for flow meters does not specifically tell us how to build these things. They just mention in 4.22.2 which is their section for meters and testing devices, that the metering device or fixed nozzles for pump testing shall be listed. So they're not giving us the instructions, the description on how to build the meters, but they're just saying that it needs to be listed, which takes me to the next slide. And it shows our FM approval. So FM actually gives the guidelines on how to build the flow meters, which is what we have been using to build the flow meters. And we have the FM global approval, which you can see here is our certificate of compliance. Now we'll get started on the components. As you can see, it's actually a very simple device. It comes basically with three parts. It's going to be the tube there, the red tube, the piping that you're going to put in place, and then you have the sight glass, which is the flow meter. So it's very simple, just a couple parts. To go down inside the components here, this is inside the sight glass. You can see that it's a sight glass type measuring tube with stainless steel float. So number 4 is our float. That's going to be the indicator for when the water is flowing through. It's going to float up, and you'll actually get a reading, as you can see from the video, that it's going to float up, and where the top of the line is, that's going to tell you the flow rate. So we'll get into later where we're going to show the different sizes and different flows, but all of these are built the same way. So the float goes up, and it's very steady. It just holds very true to where the actual flow rate is. So it's very simple. And basically the way that operates is that it's coming through, the water's coming through, it's getting a measurement through the orifice type. This is not a Venturi type, it's an orifice type, which gives a pressure differential and allows it to read the flow rate going through, and then you get the indicator with the float. So it's, again, very simple. This is inside the pipe, inside what we call the housing tube, and you can see the orifice up there at the top. The housing tube is the big piece. Number 7 is pointing to the differential pressure. That's what's giving the reading down the tube. You've got a cap, which is number 10, and number 12 is a seal. That's just like an O-ring that seals the outer piece to the housing tube, just to keep it from leaking. So the connecting type is going to be cut groove for the 2 to 4 inch, which is actually a stainless steel design. Once you get into the larger diameters, the 6 to 12 inch is going to be a coated carbon steel. but both connections are going to be a grooved connection. 90% of what we've been seeing is going to be this groove connection. It's the only offering that we have. There's some other types in the marketplace. They're going to have a flange mount or a butt weld, but we stick with the grooved just for simplicity, and because that's what we've seen the majority of the connections being grooved. Again, like I said, it's just a few pieces, so easy to assemble. Obviously, the red housing tube is what's going to go hard piped into the system, and then you can see a cap on here in the red picture. That cap, you can put that back on when you're not actually using the device, and then you can screw in the tube, the housing tube, in when you are going to use it. So just a couple pieces, and the video really kind of shows the assembly a lot better than I can describe it. And also this little baggie here, that's the O-ring. So we come with a couple extra O-rings. So like I said, 3 pieces total for the whole flow meter. And then just to compare it to some of the other options that you might have seen in the marketplace. This is not ours. This is some of the competition where we only have a few components. You can see that, some of the other designs have different tubes and stuff that you have to connect and different calibration techniques that you have to do. Ours comes factory calibrated, which also is very simple, just to ease the installation and use of the flow meter.
One comment I like to make here is, of course, you've got color-coded lines there, but you don't have to purge those lines. It's a simple install, saves a lot of time, and again, no purging.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Marty. So to get into how it's installed, other flow meters are going to have similar requirements as well. But when you're looking at needing proper flow and the proper laminar flow that's going through the meter so that you don't get a lot of turbulence, because turbulence going through the meter is going to decrease its accuracy. So in order to get the most accurate reading through the meter, we're asking for 5 times the pipe diameter and distance in front of the meter, and 2 times down. So that's just the best way to install it to get the proper flow going through. So the example here we're showing, it's a 6-inch flow meter, so you have a 6-inch pipe. We need 30 inches, so 5 times that amount, 30 inches in length ahead of the flow meter. And then on the other side going downflow, 12 inches, so 2 times the pipe diameter. And then another note, this is again a recommendation that we have for installation if you're looking at doing a reducer. So if you're going from an 8-inch in this example, if you're going from an 8-inch to a 6-inch pipe with your 6-inch flow meter, instead of needing 30 inches, which would be 5 times the pipe diameter, we need 10 times. So again, that's for the same deal. We just, in order to increase the accuracy and to give the proper flow through the meter, we need to have time for the water to settle out when it's coming off of an 8-inch pipe to a 6-inch pipe. And then the same thing downstream as well. You're going to need to do 4 times versus the 2 times. So basically just doubling the amount of pipe if you're going to be coming from a larger diameter down to the 6-inch from 8 to 6.
And exactly what Cole's mentioning, if you were to shorten that length itself, you run into the situation of creating turbulence, which is going to really affect the accuracy. So,
and I should make a note. I'm going to go back to this just because when I'm saying the 6-inch, the 5 times the pipe diameter, that's just of uninterrupted pipe. So from some sort of elbow or a flange or something that would be causing the flow rate to get some turbulence. So that's 5 times of uninterrupted piping before it gets to the flow meter, and then 2 times on the other side. Unless it's the reducer, like I mentioned, then we need a little extra space. This is showing just the a suggested piping diagram. So they're going to be coming into a recirculation line a lot of the times. So this is just showing you a proper setup where it's got 5 times the pipe diameter If you follow the flow rate there, it's going to go into a bypass valve. And then from there, we have 5 times the pipe diameter before you get to the flow meter. And then 2 times following that into a butterfly valve and then an air vent. So you can see on the drawing that it's given that proper space on the layout. So some of the features and benefits of this flow meter is, like I mentioned before, that it's got a very stable flow reading. There's not a lot of bouncing. I'm sure everybody has seen those gauges with the needles that are bouncing up and down. This one, it finds the flow rate and it stays very true, and you don't have to worry about bouncing and kind of guessing where it's going to be. It makes it much easier to see. And as Marty mentioned, you don't have to purge these before using them, so that saves a step as well as the easy installation that we've gone over. Oh, and I didn't mention this multi-directional installation of the flow meter. So it can be used not just in a horizontal pipe, but you can do it vertically. You can do it with a 45-degree angle as well. The way that the meter works, it's the meter itself, or the housing tube, is going to go into the pipe. So whatever direction the pipe is, but then for the actual tube, as long as that is in a vertical position, the piping can be installed in whatever direction is required in the room. So as the tube needs to be up and down vertical, but as far as the actual piping part, that can go in whatever direction the pipe needs to be going in.
I think that's a huge advantage because you can install exactly like Cole was saying. You could install in any particular direction with the housing itself, and just by loosening up the sight glass, you can, as long as it's perpendicular to the floor, hanging down, your accuracy isn't affected. But that's really a lot of flexibility in the field for you.
Exactly. And also, it's got a very long lifespan. So one of the main benefits here is that with the fact that there's not a whole lot of moving pieces and parts, these meters can last for a very long time. And you can see in this image, the measuring tube can be turned upside down after use. That's definitely a recommendation, just because obviously the water going through these pipes is not always the cleanest. So in order to keep the sight glass clean, we recommend that you turn it upside down. It just allows the water to drain back out, so it's not sitting stagnant inside the flow meter when you're not flowing any water. And you also have an option to get a flushing kit. The flushing kit, if you want to do that, it's not necessary. It's just an option. It's available just to clean it all out after use. But like I said, this is a very beneficial. We definitely recommend to turn it upside down and allow the water to drain out after use.
Sure.
The calibration certificate. Each meter is going to come with a calibration certificate. It's going to be a hard copy inside the shipping box. It's also available after the fact if somebody loses it or gets misplaced, which obviously is going to happen. You can always contact us and just give us the serial number, and we can find these certificates, these calibration certificates, and provide that through email. So those are available. Just because you lose the hard copy doesn't mean we can't find it. So it is still going to be available.
Correct.
And now we'll look at the sizes. So we're going from 2-inch all the way up to 12-inch, and you can see that it's based on the pump rating. So each one of these sizes has got a pump rating in US gallons per minute, and then it's got the flow range next to that. So that's gonna be the flow range is gonna be what's on the sight glass. So if you're looking at a 2-inch, you've got a 50 gallon per minute pump, and then you can see there's actually only one size for the 2 and the 2.5. But the 3 inches got 150 gallons per minute or 200 gallons per minute. And then 4-inch, we have 4 sizes all the way up from 250 to 450 gallons per minute. Then we've got the 6 inches that go from 500 gallons per minute up to 1,250 gallons per minute. And then 8-inch that goes from 1,500 to 3,000. And we have one more slide here where we've got the 10 inches, 3,500 to 4,500, and then the really big one at 12 inches, which is for your 5,000 gallons per minute pumps. And you can see the flow range on that is anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000. So Obviously, it's not limited to 5,000 gallons per minute because you have to do the 7,500 when you're doing the 150% flow test and all that stuff. So it just it's based on the pump size, but covers a range.
It goes from 50 to 5,000. That's a pretty good range.
Yeah, exactly. From 2-inch to 12-inch. And then just to go over some additional information here about the accuracy. It's been measured to plus or minus 2% accuracy, which is pretty good. And also there's a note here. It says that recertification. This is based on FM. FM, like I said, NFPA does not. They don't dictate exactly how to build these control panels. I'm not control panels. Sorry, the flow meters. They just say that it needs to be listed, which is what the FM rating, the FM approval that we have. That's our listing, even though it's called an FM approval. But FM says that it needs to be calibrated every 3 years. I believe NFPA 25 says that it needs to be calibrated every year. Either way, we can recalibrate these once a year or every 3 years. All you have to do to get it recalibrated is to send in the sight glass. We can recalibrate the sight glasses, well, the whole assembly, just unscrewing that whole part and sending that. That's the only part that needs to be recalibrated. Nothing with the actual housing tube. So just the one piece. Then going into the pressure limit, it says we're limited to 232 PSI. I believe that we're making some adjustments on that rating. I'd heard that it's possibly going up to 500 PSI, but you can see with the hydrostatic strength there, it's actually get up to 928 for up to 5 minutes. So when running a flow test, if you do have a really high pressure pump, you can still exceed that 232 rating that you see right there, as long as you stay within that 5-minute range, and don't overload it. But its hydrostatic strength is much higher than what it claims the pressure limit is. And then also the application conditions. These are meant for water, nothing else other than water, and it has to be flowing water, obviously. So there is a temperature limit. We can't get too low, otherwise it'll be ice, and ice does not really flow very well, so it's hard to get a reading on that. So liquid water is the application. The submittal data, just like our control panels and everything else, is available on our website. You can see the link down there. If you follow product GT-FluxFP, you'll find the submittal data and all the information that you need to submit the quote for a GT Flux. As far as ordering, you can see that the part number is going to start GT-FluxFP -01-, and then you got 4 boxes right there. So you fill in the gap there with the model. You can see in this this chart here, model, and it's got a bunch of numbers down there. So basically, that's the model number. That's where we just fill in that gap there based on the size, diameter, and pump rating. So each one of those has got its own part number. And all this information, obviously, nobody has to be taking notes right now. We can get this to anybody that needs it. The part numbers are available. You just we can get any, if anybody needs that, we can obviously get that to you. And the shipping weights and dimensions, they come in a small box. It's kind of like the jockey panels. It's not a huge shipment. It looks like we're going anywhere from a 7-pound in weight when you're talking the 2 to 4 inch, and then up to 24 pounds when you're looking at the 10 to 12 inch. So they are very compact. Okay, thank you for listening to the presentation. That's it for the slides.
And now we'd like you to watch a short video of the flow meter in operation. And then please come join us in the Q&A.
Hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we'll get on with the Q&A. So let's get to the first question. Is there a pipe plug furnished with the unit that could hang there for when the removable part of the unit is returned for calibration, the pipe opening that can be plugged in easily?
Yeah. Hey, Kim. Yeah, I think you probably saw on the video there. There is a pipe plug, that cap that comes with the unit. So whenever you take the flow meter off, you can put the cap on, and that will keep it from leaking.
Great.
Yeah, one comment on that too is you notice that they removed the sight glass at the end of the test, and some people will leave it there, but I think for the sake of how often you do a test like that, it's easier just to remove it and recap it. So.
Perfect. Next question is, how long to run the water through the flow meter until an accurate reading is to be taken?
If you looked at the video at the end, and the video says a lot, but with the sight glass and the way this operates, you saw almost immediate, again, I can't speak for the system itself, but I would say 30 seconds to a minute. It's based on if you have any water pockets or there's air in the line somewhere that you need to purge that through. But if you saw in the video, as soon as the flow started, you saw the sight glass, you saw the measurement slowly rise up to the level of, it was like 42, 43 PSI. I mean, it was almost immediate. And again, it's all based on whether you might have air pockets in the piping itself in the system.
The next question is, how do you relieve pressure on the piping when you remove the unit?
For that, I'm not 100% positive. Looking at that diagram that we had, there's an air vent valve. I would imagine that relieves some of the pressure, but then taking that off, there's not a pressure relief valve or anything with the flow meter. So I would assume that would be something that's built into the system if that's necessary, but I can't really answer that one.
Okay. The next question is taking apart and cleaning.
Well, we do have a flush kit that can be used, which can be, but again, rather than, because sometimes you might have some type of particulates in the water, maybe a little brackish water gets into the system. If you leave the sight glass on and you flow, that water will remain in there. If you have that type of water, it's probably best to do what they showed in the video. When you're done flowing, you remove the sight glass, it drains out, and it will help prevent from any buildup from those particulates that might be in the system water itself. Other than that, again, you can get a flush kit for that.
Okay. If you have any other questions, be sure to send them in. But at this moment, while we're waiting, Marty Cole, do you have anything else you would like to add to this presentation?
Cole?
I don't have anything in particular. I think Marty's right. I think that video that we just showed, honestly, I think that's probably better than the whole presentation that I put together. It really shows the operation and the functioning of the flow meter. So really to see it in action, I think it says a lot.
I guess if I were to say anything, which again, during the presentation and the video is worth 1,000 words, easy. You've got the range from 2 to 12 inch. You got 50 to 5,000 GPM. Basically it's a groove connection. It's one threaded connection to connect. You don't really need tools to connect the sight glass itself. It's multi-directional. So whether it's horizontal, vertical, all you do is adjust the sight glass. So it really makes installation easy. I say keep it simple. You don't have any tubes. You don't have to purge. The accuracy is better. As you saw in the sight glass in the video, you don't have that. If it's a meter, you have a little bit of shaking sometimes. So it's very smooth, very accurate, and that's one of the reasons why they show the Siemens digital meter, to show how accurate it is and how level and easy it is to read when you're flowing water. I guess it's called stability. So those key things, I think, really make this a win-win for you. Cost effective, but again, it's simple, it's easy. And I think it was mentioned about FM that the calibration doesn't need to be done but every 3 years. So there's a lot of benefits for you in the field with this.
Well, thank you, Marty and Cole. We don't have any more questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up. Just to let everyone know, this webinar will be available on demand and you can view at your leisure whenever you want. There will be a link on our website, and since you have registered, you will also get an automatic email when the recording is available to view. Let me see if anybody else has, oh, I have another question. If the piston doesn't spin, inaccurate readings?
Wills, I saw your question there. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. I mean, the spinning is definitely part of the operating. I mean, it could be if it's spinning, maybe it's gotten some particulates in there and it's clogged and it wouldn't read as accurately. But I think that's something we'd have to check on. I'm not 100% on that one.
And just to add to that, if we couldn't answer your question today, we have your email, so we can always send you a follow-up on some of your questions. And anytime you have any questions about the flow meter or any other products, feel free to reach out to us. Either Cole, Marty, our customer service department, we're always here to help you. So I think we answered all the questions for today. Thank you so much for attending our presentation. Thank you, Marty, Cole. Please be sure to fill out the survey at the end of this presentation. It will pop up right as the webinar closes. We really appreciate your feedback and know what we can do better next time. Thank you and have a good day. See you at the next one.
Thanks, everyone.